start to put tension on my string drawback, I was like, okay, I'm gonna smoke.
It's him. You can look at the horns when he's dead. I'm in the zone. Let the arrow go is perfect.
When they lose their front shoulders, yeah, you start, that's how you know they're smoking.
Went about 5-10 more yards. He probably went 20 yards to the tip, then we tried to get back up. I saw him pull up.
We rushed 4 meters rods that night. We got like 156 and something like that, and then the next day we came up to 163 even.
You're listening to the White Cat Outdoors podcast, bringing you to the table where we talk about the outdoors.
What's going on, guys? Episode 134, you said. 134 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. Tom is not hanging out with us tonight.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, he's being a bum lately. It's almost like he's not even on the podcast anymore. But Nick's here. You heard his voice.
Yeah.
And we're talking to a guy we've talked to a few times before. Good buddy of ours, owner of Turks and Tines, Scotty Thompson. What's going on, man?
Hey guys, nice to be here again. Anxious to talk about trail cameras.
Absolutely. You said you got plenty to talk about, so it should be a good episode. We've been talking for an hour now about other stuff before we even hit record. So
there's a lot to talk about. It's getting to be everybody's starting to get excited. You know, this time of the month, starting to get those July chores in, get anxious for August, and then boom, we're into it. So
exactly. We've been going through trail cam pics, just getting the little bit of inventory. We're gonna do all our food plots up in New York here pretty quick. We got corn in up there already. We got beans in up there. So we've been a lot of work getting ready for deer season. So we're getting more and more amped up every day.
Yeah, we have our fields. This is the first time they've been planted in beans, so we're anxious to see how the deer react to it. First time ever that we know of, and they're coming in really nice. We wish we had a little bit more rain. It's pretty dry, but
it's funny because last July we got just drowned out with rain.
Flooded in our fields. It was bad.
And this year we haven't had 2 days of rain.
I know.
July? Not even 2 days of rain.
Spring
in July,
though was pretty wet.
Yeah.
You know, I was a little nervous for the poults, for the turkey poults.
Yeah.
You know, I think they took a little bit of a pounding just from what we're seeing on the cameras. Like, you know, we had a couple pictures, but now we're seeing hens without little ones. It's a little concerning.
Yeah.
So,
How big of a bean field did you do this year?
we didn't do it. The farmer who leases the property, he usually does corn.
So it's a big field.
it's big. It's you know.
So we've been struggling to get beans on our property up in New York for the past couple of years. We plant them ourselves, but
and it's the first time there's been beans there as well, but it's a smaller plot and they just mow them down.
Well, it's all corn where we're at. I mean, you know roughly where we're at there.
Sure.
It's all big cornfields everywhere. So we put this little soybean plot, and it just gets hammered. I mean,
they start coming up real nice, and we get excited, and then the next time we go up, gone.
Before the beans even come up, they just break them off right at the stems, eat the whole food plot, and they're gone. And we've done that 2 years in a row, no luck. So this year we decided to do the fence trick.
I was just going to suggest it. So a friend of mine, Eddie Mahacek, do you guys know him?
I know the name. I don't know him.
So he posted a picture last year of over browsing for his bean field, and they, same as you guys, turned it into dirt.
Yeah, exactly.
So he overseeded it, put up a fence, and you should have seen it by the time archery season rolled around. It was just lush. So they do work. So highly recommend it.
Well, it's been up for about a week and a half, and the beans they're about 3 inches tall or so. Like they're just starting to germinate and come up. And there's not a single deer track in that all through there, which is
it's key.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't believe. I mean, we spent over $500 on putting up a fence. You know, we
it's money well spent. Though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we chuckle because it's like, you know, we're doing all this just to hunt them, but at the same time, it's like that's the only hobby we have.
Yeah, and if you're going to take the time to do it, you might as well just take the extra step just to have it done right. Because what's the point?
Yeah.
You know, you're not even going to have any food
if
there
you're going
by
to
the time-
plan it just for them to eat it before the season.
They're so hard on that stuff. Brassicas, same way here. You know, I mean, they're gone. It's a dirt, you know, just a dirt field, and then you got what we usually do when it gets over browse is we go back through with rye and overseed it with that, you know. But fence is definitely the way to go.
Yeah, we did like the 2 walls of fence electrified, and basically you stagger the two fences, put at varying heights and everything, and it for whatever reason it's supposed to mess with their eyes, and I can see looking at it how it could totally throw somebody off, or throw a deer off anyway.
Yeah.
But then they're electrified too, so I don't know which one works better, being electrified or having them too wide or what.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you guys have cameras on it?
We have not yet, only because we've got some timber getting taken off the property right now.
Oh,
and
okay. Didn't
want to risk putting cameras and just, you don't know. I mean, I don't like.
Well, I tell you what, I have a good story. Let me tell you guys a story real quick. So last winter, I don't know if you guys seen a picture I posted. It was right about when the antlers were dropping, and it was a trail cam picture of a couple deer standing there in the deep snow, and there was an antler laying there in the snow. Mm-hmm. So I probably, but it was too deep to go up, and it's 500 yards off the road. I wasn't going up in there. So a few weeks go by, the snow starts going down. I hoof it up in there with a shovel, and I go looking for it, and it's not there. I kept double checking the pic, double checking.
It was there.
It was there. Now it's not there. So we had loggers in there logging, and we found out that one of the Amish logger picked it up and kept it. So we reached out to the company, and we haven't got it back. And we found his other side. He's a really nice 8, like really nice, yeah, like 130 inch. I mean, he's nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And so and we found his one side in one of the ruts, one of the skidder ruts.
Yeah.
All I see is about 2 inches of the tine in the mud. Reached out. It was a huge find. So then I'm like, I want that other side.
Gotta go get it now.
So we're still waiting to get that phone call. But yeah, that's why I couldn't find it, because he stole it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
I didn't even really, to be honest, I didn't really think about like it getting taken. I was more, if loggers are going through their big equipment,
running
felling
over
trees everywhere, I was like, you know what, it's not really worth putting out several $100s worth of cameras everywhere for one to get destroyed
I'm with you.
or something. So no, there's no, I guess, long-winded answer to say no, that there's no cameras. But we did put cameras out on another piece that we hunt, and they're slow. I mean, they've only been out like 3 days.
Yeah.
So
I'll tell you what, we have them out right now too, but the only reason that I'm doing it, it's more for, I take an inventory of the predation. Like, what are we dealing with here? How many coyotes in the area? Do we got to bring the guy in with the dogs? Because we do usually once a year we bring a guy in. They smoke, 6, 8, coyotes in a weekend.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty lean. Couple fox moving back in, but I don't think they're that hard on stuff. So this time of year, but we got a bad coon problem in one of the sections. Mm-hmm. So I want to get the trapper in there this year, get some coon out. So right now it's not even so much deer, because this time of year you don't want those big bucks on your property right now.
No, because they could disappear.
They could definitely disappear. Mm-hmm. And something might move in, but something might not. So
What's your reasoning for not wanting them on the property? Is it just what Frank said, or does it go deeper than that for you?
What's that?
Why you don't want those big bucks on your property?
Well,
right
not
now?
that because 9 times out of 10 that their summer areas and their fall and winter areas are totally different.
Okay.
Yeah, their springs where they spend their time in the spring and summer, most of the time isn't where they're going to spend their fall and winter times. I mean, we see it all the time. Well, Flyer Buck's a good example. He's 7.5 years old. We had no pictures, and I had cameras every 20 feet looking for him last summer. Not one picture of him until right before he came out of velvet. We didn't even have a picture of him. We laid eyes on him. So and then once the velvet come off, all of a sudden we're starting seeing pictures. But wherever he summered wasn't on our property.
Mm-hmm. He would just show up closer to season.
Yeah. So, but we have bucks now that they have little. You can start seeing like little stickers and stuff. You start getting excited about them, and then once fall comes, you never see them. I go back and compare pictures. Like, is that him? No,
yeah.
not him.
So, like you said, right now your cameras aren't really out for like hunting bucks per se. It's more to survey what's going on your property and what adjustments you need to make.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. I want to see how the fawns did. It's more of a management like deer. Like what moms are throwing the twins and triplets. Like we got we've had this same doe now. She's thrown twins now for like 3 years in a row. She's just a really good mom, and so once we start seeing that, we get excited about everything looks good, like they're comfortable there, and things like that. Just from the management standpoint of those deer, what keeps them there? Do we need to do anything else different? And I don't know. Everything looks good so far. We're just keeping up on the clover plots, keeping the grass out of them, more of that maintenance.
Yeah.
Get ready for fall planting, which is coming up here a few weeks.
Yeah.
A couple weeks, really.
Yeah,
so very soon.
We're looking at Tom and we're going up to spray our beans this week, and then
in 2 weeks.
I think 2 weeks is
we're
when
gonna go plant.
Okay, there you go. It's perfect.
Yeah, we've got what 1, 2, 3, 4 food plots we want to do in that weekend. But they're smaller food plots.
Yeah, they're little, but
yeah, 2 weeks out from that.
Cool. Bears too, like not too much you can do about it, but I mean, just keeping like what's there, what's and we got a couple bears on the property, but it seems like it's less than what there usually is. Like we've had up to 7 different bears in the summertime.
No kidding.
Usually like a 4 is a pretty common number, but I think maybe 2 so far this year, and that's it. Nice. So that's not too bad, so I'm pretty happy with the way the predation is right now. So
I've noticed, because we had a real heavy logging, they leveled the whole property, and the coyotes this year have been absolutely absurd, which I kind of expected with all that brush, because it was a straight clear cut. All that brush, there's rabbits and whatever else, all kinds of small game, and every single camera that I've checked, they were only out for a couple weeks, and they've loaded with coyotes, just ridiculous. So
and that's when there's a lot of guys that offer their services, and they just like killing coyotes, like with thermal. And they come in with their ARs and thermal, ex-military guys, and they reach out to me all the time. If you guys ever want help with them, just call.
Well, Tom's been getting into that. He's got all his thermal gear. He just bought it this past year, so he's been
Tom
getting
looks
into
ex-military
now.
Yeah. No,
that's good.
His setup's really nice.
Yeah, so you're gonna want to get him in there and start stacking them up.
Mm-hmm. There's actually some nice dogs in there too, so he'd have a great time with it.
Yeah. And between that and your dad getting some snares in there, you guys should.
Yeah, no doubt.
Be able to wipe them out.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah.
So moving into like deer season and everything, the locations of your cameras now, does it change come closer to the season? Like when you're getting ready to start tracking like bucks and which ones you want to hunt, do your cameras move at all from where they're at right now?
They do a little bit. So what we do once it starts getting a little bit closer, I'll start adding some cameras just around the perimeter, just to make sure that, because they're the way they come into our food plots and leave, it does change a little bit here and there, especially between certain bucks. So I want to see who's using what this time of year. So I'll strategically go ahead and put. And see who's using what, and then as the season wanes, like if I can get sort of one, I wouldn't say pattern, but see which one's using it more often, then I'll start shrinking less and less cameras onto a certain point. But one of the things that we're doing this year is a lot less cameras just scattered, because it's not so much about just getting good pictures. It's about we're concentrating on one particular buck. Just your target buck.
I was just going to ask you, when you were kind of saying that, do you set your like you get this buck on camera, you got this one buck, that's your target buck.
Right.
Do you then focus your cameras for him?
Yep. We start shrinking our cameras down smaller and smaller and try to concentrate on that area and try not to overhunt it, which is, and you talk to all the guys that hunt big bucks. That's one of the things that they pay real close attention to, is overhunting these big bucks.
Yeah,
because you can go in the woods and kill a buck pretty much any day of the week. But
no doubt,
to kill that target buck, that upper age class, at 4.5-year-old plus,
you're not going to go kill him any day of the week.
Not any day of the week, and so that strategy of we're introducing more cell cameras, and we're also introducing more black flashes, because we have seen in some bucks, not all of them. Flyer was one. Like one day he didn't like that flash in his face, and the next night didn't mind it. So I don't know why, but it's just funny. I just don't want anybody to have any issues with the cameras. Yeah. So that we're gonna start it. We've already started purchasing black flash.
I've never even heard of the black flash. What is that?
Ours right now, they're all IR. So the infrared, it's like that little red glow, and it. So there's the white flash. It's like just a light, the light, and then there's the IR, and then there's the black flash that emits no light at all.
And how does that work? Like, what is?
Well, it's black. I don't know. It's not as the pictures aren't as crisp at night, but it's
gives you the information you need.
It does. Huh. Yeah,
that's interesting.
Like you said, it's not about like high quality pictures. It's more or less trying to make sure that you're targeting a specific buck, and you don't need.
That any kind of
You don't need 4K video to figure out which buck is what.
Right, it's acceptable. Those black flashes are. I mean, it's only a little bit less light, than the IR. So, but I've been doing some reading about those white flashes, and they're saying the white flash spooks less deer than the IRs. So it has something to do about that red light they seem to don't like. So, but I don't know. I've seen it so many different ways. But we're just going to do it this year, just because it's all part of that. You guys know I like those Tacticam reveals.
Yep.
So they make this new camera called the XB, which has the GPS and it's black flash. So that's why we're getting into solar now too. So everything on just because we're running lithiums and the price of lithiums now are so ridiculous, it's not that far off from a solar panel. Yeah, so we've already bought 3, and we're having good luck with them. So we're going to go ahead and start introducing them on all our
my dad's got
cell cams.
2 solar panels. Yeah. He got 2 Tacticams this year, and he's got
good.
Solar panels on them.
That's a good way of going. Mm-hmm. That way you don't have to go in there for anything. There's no reason to. Mm-hmm. So you order your if you want to see it clear, you can go ahead and order your HD picture right on the app. So we really like that concept.
Yeah. I meant to ask this earlier, but have you calculated like camera density for your property, like a number of cameras per acreage or anything like that? Like just to give people an idea of how much you're using cameras on your property.
Well, we're running about 30 cameras right now, but like I said, we're not even going to be putting probably not even half of them out, because we're switching things up a little bit. I don't want to go in there as much that we usually do. Like we used to go back in there every 2 weeks, pulling cards, get excited about seeing these pictures. But like I said, I'm switching the game up. I want to go in there less and have that information coming to me just through the cell cams. That's my ultimate goal. So some guys, they run, I've heard anywhere between 1 and 3 cameras per 50 acres, and we're doing way more than that. Well, we were, I
was going to say, I know I do way more than that.
That would put 6 cameras in Climber, and I know that there's way more than that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've never seen having too many cameras was a bad thing. Because they say, each camera only gives you about 30% of information. Yeah. Anyway, so it's crazy.
One thing that stuck out the last time or maybe the first time we talked, was you have multiple cameras on the same food plot.
I do.
And seeing that there's a certain buck that'll only show up on one of those cameras on that food plot.
Flyer was one like that.
It was one of those things that I never realized. We put cameras on every food plot, but it's one camera on every food plot.
Yeah.
And it was just pretty neat to hear that hey, there's so much more going on in that food plot that you aren't even seeing now.
Big time. Like that was, we had 6 cameras around this small cornfield, and he was only getting picture on one camera. Like it was always like 1 a.m. So you think you got it all covered, and you really not even close.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that works. So
you're gonna make people freak out if you can, they don't have enough cameras.
Well, it's eventually that buck that you're looking for is gonna probably walk by that camera. You just don't know when. You just don't know when. Yeah. all bucks are different. It's just it's I equate it a lot like people because we're all different. Deer are the same exact way. No buck is the same.
Yeah.
They all have their own little quirks and personalities, and some of them love getting their picture taken, and some of them you won't see them until like late archery. Once or twice, and that's it. During the rut, things like that. So,
now, have you done any like where you put a camera facing one way and then like a camera like almost like the same tree facing the other way to see if bucks are trying to skirt a camera or anything? Like, have you ever
do two on one tree?
Or I guess if not 2 on 1 tree, but like 2 in the pretty much same location to see if you're missing something around.
Yeah, we've done it before. And sure, it's just and a lot of times you get the same deer. That's what we've noticed. We've never had anything earth shattering like, oh my God, I'm glad we covered this area.
Okay.
No, it's the trails are there. One of the things that I think is important for our inventory is doing mock scrapes. Mock scrapes has been a really game changer for us. I mean, because any buck and pretty much any deer in that area is going to come and sniff around those mock scrapes. We really like them for inventory.
So how are you setting up your mock scrapes? Because I've heard a couple different ways people do it. I'm just interested to hear how your method is.
So I took my I really like Jeff Sturgis. I don't know if you guys know who he is. So he's
trying to think. He does like all of the whitetail habitat solutions. Is
that's
that what
it.
Is?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I took his advice because he has so many videos on it, and we have a lot of grapevines on my property. So that's exactly what I did. From 3/4 to 1 inch in diameter, 6 foot long, strung them up a tree, and a friend of mine, Brian Keitlinger, suggested that I go ahead and take my saw and cut little striations down low on the vine, and then that way we use gland lure, like forehead gland, your orbital gland, and I drip that. Whatever gland I decide to use, I go ahead and drip that in those striations so it holds that gland in there
instead of just dripping right off.
And it seems to work really well.
Now, do you do your mock scrapes? Because I've heard different schools of thought on this. Do you only do them like when you would think a deer is making a scrape, or do you do them all year long? Because I've heard some people say a deer is going to make a scrape in May or whatever, or June, and some people say no, they're only going to do it more in October, November.
No, deer make scrapes year round.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's the rubs. I mean, the bucks are making the rubs during the rut. But we will see deer this time of year rubbing on their forehead gland.
Yeah.
They'll get rubbing on their face. They'll hit that orbital gland, like they're rubbing all up on those vines this time of year.
Yeah.
They do it year round, but all our vines are out right now, but I haven't treated anything since last year. But they're out, they're open. I just checked them not that long ago. Like all the leaves are away from them. Like I don't know how much pollen's going on, but they're not covered up with leaves. I can tell you that.
So are you just like fastening it into a tree, like on a limb a little bit higher up, which is like zip ties or something, or is that how you're doing it?
How am I attaching
hanging the vine?
Well, what I usually do is. What we usually do is when we do a mock scrape, we try to do it on a trail that's already being used. So we'll take an inventory, if we're not trying to change the deer's path. We're just trying to
put something in his way.
Just to slow him down, get some good pictures of him, of everything.
Yeah.
So, and then usually there's a stand real close by too, strategically placed and everything. But usually we'll tie a rope on it, and I'll cut a sapling. I'll bend that branch down a little bit so it hangs vertical right over that scrape is what we usually do.
How high up is the bottom of the vine from the ground?
About our belt. About your belt. Yeah, is how we do it. Keep it up off the ground about waist high.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how we do it, and it's been working great. Like it's been a game changer for us.
Yeah, I've heard of guys using rope about like 3/4 inch thick, like that untreated hemp rope. But I've also heard that, if you have access to vines in that same size, that it works just as good. It's funny that within the last 2 weeks was the first time I heard of somebody hanging like ropes or something, and then you brought up that's
Well, you know what they rub on a lot too, just because I get a lot of pictures of it and videos, is we got yardage markers, those fiberglass stakes for your,
driveway markers.
The driveway markers. We have those out for yardage markers, 20, 30, 40. Deer rub on those all the time. Like crazy. You would think, all the time.
You have pictures
and
of
then
them?
year round. Oh, yeah, videos of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
You think they'd
Get a
get
new
like
hunting
slivers
You would
or
think
something?
so. You would think. Yeah, all the time.
You're getting a new hunting product.
Start making mock scrapes with those.
So yeah, it's I'll tell you what, I huge fan of mock scrapes, and I think if you're not using it, you're missing out.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I've been reading a lot about mock scrapes in the last couple of weeks, and that's when I haven't seen Sturgis's stuff on YouTube, but I've watched a lot of his videos for habitat improvement when it comes to like hinge cutting and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I never really dove into his mock scrape videos, but I'm gonna definitely.
Yeah, he's
look into them
really
now.
good on food plots and mock scrapes. That's the main thing that I concentrate. I listen to him for everything, but those are the two things. And the one thing I like about him is he's in our geographical region. Like
that helps so much.
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, PA, New York. That's what he concentrates all this northern tier. So that's the other part I like about it.
Yeah.
When he talks food plots, we know that he's in that cold region. So it must apply to us.
It's tough for me to really believe in something when it's coming from like Iowa or Illinois or something, just because I know it doesn't necessarily match what we have here.
Yeah, or Georgia, Florida,
Texas,
southern states.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
It's not the same.
You can apply a little bit of knowledge here and there, but for the most part, it's like, well, that
concept's there, but it's not quite the same.
Not the same.
No.
So do you hunt those mock scrapes, or do you just use those for your cameras, or do you make separate mock scrapes when you're going to hunt them?
Both, yeah. And it depends on who's hitting it. Like this one scrape that Flyer was hitting a lot 2 years ago, he never hit it once last year. I kept a camera on it all season
waiting for him.
Yeah, until we killed him, and he never did hit it once. And he was in it all the time.
Yeah.
The year prior. Why? What changed? He was close. He was in the neighborhood. He just never hit it.
Do you think he was just scent checking it from,
I don't know. The videos were saying he was hitting it.
I'm saying the year that he didn't hit it. Do you wonder if he was maybe just like scent checking it and like just coming downwind of it?
I don't think so. I just had no pictures of him. Other bucks were tearing it up. Just he didn't. And he was the king in that castle. Like there was no competition. I don't know. Just something. He just didn't hit that one.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you add any sensor lures to the dirt below, like in the mock scrape itself?
We do. I'll do a interdigital gland lure, and that's all we do. I don't get into any of the urines. I use Smokey's gland lure as the brand name. He's out of West Virginia, and I really like his stuff. So you guys check him out. I just like him because I like West Virginia. Those guys down there, they seem to know their stuff. And what I like about it, you keep it cool and it'll stay forever. It's a gland, so it's not like it's gonna break down.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is kind of like a weird question, but I've heard multiple opinions. My grandpa's got one way, but like, have you ever like peed in scrapes yourself? Or do you?
Yeah, that's a Jeff Sturgis thing. Yeah.
Are you for or against it?
I'm for it. I don't think it doesn't mess them up at all. Which is funny though, because we've activated scrapes from scratch and just activated it by just peeing in it, and they hit it right away. But I've peed out of my tree stand before and had deer turn themselves inside out. So I don't know what's up with that. Yeah. Why? Why are we so spooky?
Yeah.
So I wonder,
it's like you said, every deer has its own personality.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Jeff's a big fan of just peeing out of your stand. But you know what? I don't know. I've seen too many things. And, it could be just that one buck just doesn't like it and he's out,
I think it was Jeff that I read made a comment about how, like, all urine, regardless whether it's deer, human, or anything, eventually it breaks down to basically just ammonia. And the deer can't tell whether it came from a bear, a rabbit, a squirrel. All they know is it's not theirs.
But it takes about 20 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if, like, peeing out of the tree stand, was it maybe it was too quick in time, like you peed and he came through and got a whiff of it too early.
It could also have something to do about what you ate that day. You know, what you drank.
Asparagus.
You know. So. Yeah, I don't know.
My grandpa has always, like, you know, if we're heading to the stand when I was real little and stuff, he saw a scrape, he'd always pee in it on the way in. And I mean, I never really understood why. But it does seem like I've done the same thing with cameras and on mock scrapes, which I've never gotten into like the ropes or anything, but I've noticed that they hit it right away.
Yeah, once they start hitting it, we pretty much leave it alone. I mean, you're not going to beat the smell of nature. No, once we get it going, pretty much just
once they start adding their own stuff to it, just let them keep doing it.
Done.
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, once they start, they're freshening it up for you, really.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly right. So they got their gland on it, yeah. And like I said, everybody's hitting it. The fawns, does, everybody's hitting it.
Yeah, they're all.
That's good enough for me. We don't even touch them. So
yeah, and like you said, if you put a cell cam on that, you don't have to introduce any of your scent to it. Just let them do all their own stuff.
So
I wanted to ask you to like kind of break down like one specific buck that you've used cameras to hunt down and kill. And the one that stuck out to me the most was I think the first time we talked, you had a buck that you had narrowed it down to doing two different things, and you and Brad were able to set up on those two different things to kill it. Like I can't remember what buck that was, but I was hoping you could kind of break it down how you use cameras to locate that buck and figure out he was traveling.
He's going to do this or that,
and you know like how you knew that basically.
Well, the only reason that I got turned on is because he sort of disappeared, and we found out the neighbor hit him in archery season, which is just the adjoining property next to us. And I knew where this guy's stand was. So the only way, so I was thinking, well, he must have been using this. And I went looking for him, and the guy told me where it went. And I looked all weekend for this buck being dead, and I never found it. I'm like, I think he's alive. So I moved cameras down to where I thought the corridor this buck used, to where it put him right in position for this kid to get a shot at it. And that's when I started getting pictures of him. He was using that corridor down there along the creek. And so I started lining up cameras on some other trails that I thought that would feed down. And that's when I started getting pictures of him. But when I got the full draw on him it was Halloween night, and I couldn't get a shot at him, I knew he was either going to be up on top or down below with me. That's when Brad and I split, and he just happened to hit the upper spot before he came down to me. But I knew he was coming. That was his corridor. You know, it's just one of those things. You know, I wouldn't have known it if I couldn't get cameras on it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, if I didn't know that information.
But
you
then,
know,
like you said, you put a camera on pretty much every trail.
I don't like going down in there. It's way down. It's deep in there, and I don't like going that deep. But sometimes you got to get aggressive.
Yeah.
So yeah.
How aggressive will you get before you like feel like you might be doing damage?
I'll do damage.
I
did damage last year.
Yeah.
You know, I do think I did damage with Flyer last year. Had 3 encounters with him. He went nocturnal, and he actually moved a little bit. And that was that. The last time I got close, I was at 60 yards, and I just don't think he knew I was hunting him. He shut it down. I had day pics of him, days I wanted to get out and hunt. I was working. You know, he was there, you know, sticking his middle finger up at the camera. Like he was,
So what information, like obviously you've got pictures of him, but what information are you using based on those pictures to decide, like to narrow it down to 2 different spots he may be on one given night?
Well, like what I did with Flyer, I just made a map, and I had dates, wind directions, and where he was at. So
I was going to ask about wind
it.
direction.
Wind direction is huge, and you know, and what times he was at, when, you know, when he was day walking, what time, you know, everything. So and I would put an arrow what direction he was going. That's how I was figuring out what he was doing.
So you were using like the timestamp as well, so you could see, okay,
big
he's
time
in this direction.
For sure.
And then 45 minutes later, he's over here, so you kind of
and all of a sudden I seen a pattern. Like I had a cluster of dates and times in this one particular area, and that's when I started. Like he spent a lot of time right here.
So did you use like Google Maps or anything to lay this out, or was it just?
With my kindergarten drawing skills.
Broke out the Crayolas.
I did. I still have that thing somewhere, but that's how I do it. And it's going to be different with every one. Some are,
So you'll do that map for like at the beginning of the year when you pick, okay, this is the buck we're after. About when do you start that map for him?
Well, that was really the first time. That's how bad I wanted him. And he was, like I said, I was having so many pictures, but I just couldn't pin it down. I couldn't keep track. I was seeing a lot of different bucks, and I had to just like, all right, I need to draw this out because I was getting confused on, I was getting so many pictures, I couldn't keep track of time, direction, all of it. So that's why I made the map. Some are way more predictable than he was, So it's just like anybody, as the rut as the rut gets closer, they start day walking a lot more. And like I said, I had no pictures of him all summer, and then all of a sudden he sheds his velvet, and all of a sudden I get tons of pictures. So that was just him. So it's funny. I just don't know where he went. So
I warned you at the beginning. We had a few listener questions come through. I wanted to cover. Tom, since he wasn't here, the only thing he asked was how you target one specific deer.
So he did participate in this episode.
Which that one I don't know. I feel like that's what we just did. So I don't know if we have to really dive back into that. Like that question pretty much answered itself there. But I'll start with Chase Schultz 28 from Instagram, and he's asking what the best cellular camera for the price is, in your opinion.
I just don't think you can beat the Tactacam reveals. I think for that price point, for $120 cell cam, the apps are great. The customer service is better. I think that's where it's at. I really do.
I actually found 2 Reveal X's at Walmart. So like last year's for $89.
That's a great price.
Like I was like, how can you walk by that?
Yeah.
Even for a decent camera, not being a cell camera, $120 is a good price for a good camera.
I agree.
Throw the cell on top of it, and
everybody says, "Oh, Spartans blow them away." Yeah, it's a $400 camera. It's a 4-to-1. Like, how can you justify it? So I don't know. They treat that. I really like those cameras. I think they take great photos, great video. That's it for the price.
Do you use more photo or video for your cell camera?
Just started switching over to video last year. I think it gives us a lot more information now that we're using the solar panels. I'm not worried about it chewing up the batteries as bad.
Dad and I have been using videos for a long time. We've talked to a lot of other people. They're like, I don't want to sit there and watch a 30-second video or 20-second, whatever, however long it is. They just want to click through pictures. It's like, well, a lot of different stuff can happen. Or if the camera gets tripped by this doe, at the very end of the video, the last 3 seconds of that 30-second video, a buck walks into frame.
Right.
You wouldn't have got that if you had your 3 photo burst and then a 30-second break or whatever.
That's right. Yep.
So you get a lot more with that video.
Oh, big time.
We've been doing it. We don't
way more information.
Battery life be damned. We don't care. Like, we'll change batteries if we need to, because that information is super important.
Very important.
It takes way longer to check your cameras.
It's a chore,
but it's worth it. Scanning through like single shots versus a 10-second video.
Yeah, you're watching a feature-length film flipping through cameras.
But I think it's worth it though. Like for same reasons Frank said.
And a lot of times I'll set mine up for 60 seconds because I want as much information as possible. I don't care about batteries. I want. Like you said, if you're doing it, let's do it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Next one is from Toasty Beard 99. It's our buddy Ben. He's asking, so if you got like a new piece of property, which I don't know how much experience you have with that, but where would you put cameras on a new piece to get just intel on what you got going on there?
I'd start with intersecting trails. First of all, I mean, you're gonna have to because you got to start somewhere. Where's your food? How are they using? Where are they bedded? You got to start there. How are they using that property? That's exactly where I would start. And I'd start doing small plots. That's how we started. We just started doing small little throw and grow plots and started getting inventories that way. How are the deer using this? Them coming in, them coming out.
For the throw and grow plots, would you do them near intersecting trails or something, like where deer are already moving through?
We did. That's exactly what we did. It was just any little clear cut that was like natural to where it wasn't gonna, we didn't have to cut trees down.
Yeah,
that's how we did it. Yeah, we were putting little at that time we just had these little rototillers. Actually we were doing the handheld rototillers, throwing them in the back of the side-by-side and taking them deep and doing it that way back in the day. We don't do that anymore, but when we first learned in the property, that's what we did. Yep.
Little kill plots.
Yeah, little kill plots.
So the second part of his, he actually it was a 3-parter, but his second part was videos or pictures, which we answered as videos.
Yeah.
And then the third part of his question was, how often are you checking cameras that aren't cell cameras?
So if we don't do them every 2 weeks, it takes forever to get through them. It's thousands of pictures. I mean, it sometimes it's an upwards of 20,000 every 2 weeks. So it's 40,000 pictures a month. Like, that's a lot to go through.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Especially.
And then if you're doing videos, it's a long time.
Yeah. So we don't like to do it 2 weeks. It's almost a necessity because you'll be days going through it. Because a lot of times, like, especially when the rut comes and you're seeing different bucks and, trying to get as much information, we'll switch everything from 1 photo to 3 photos on the regular cameras. So, boom, so if it's taking 1, it's taking 3. So you got to get through all those pictures. And so it's just time, but yeah.
So this next one's actually for all 3 of us, from Dirk X814. He wants to know what's the craziest thing you've caught on a trail camera.
Ooh, the craziest thing.
I have my answer if you want to think about it.
Okay, go ahead.
For me, a couple years ago, or several years ago, craziest thing I guess would be we had a coyote peeing directly on top of a mineral block. That was probably the weirdest. I've never caught anything like totally wild, but yeah, that was an interesting kind of funny thing we saw.
We've had a lot. One of the actually a couple of recent ones. I posted a picture of it. One was, you guys ever see that famous Beatles album cover where it's the 3, the Beatles, the group. They're walking they're walking across the road, Abbey Road.
It's Abbey Road. Yep.
Well, I have 4 turkeys, and there's only one out of step compared to all the
Their
Beatles.
Their legs are going
in the same direction as the Beatles. Exactly. And I have that picture. That was pretty cool.
That's hilarious.
And I have a bear. I found a dead deer in the woods, like late winter. There was still snow on the ground. I put it on there just to see. I moved a camera to it just to see what was coming to it, and I got a fisher on there. Mm-hmm. Love getting videos of fisher. I think they're just cool ass critters,
Yeah, no doubt.
And I don't know, about a month went by, and this bear come out of hibernation and got a hold of it, and then grabbed it, and then just took it right out of frame.
Now.
Yeah, took it about 80 yards and polished it off. So
that's funny.
So that was a pretty cool video because he was working at it. He finally said, "Screw this." He just latched onto it and took it.
That's funny. For me, it's not really anything like that crazy, but we don't have sandhill cranes around here.
Oh, I totally forgot about this one. Yeah,
up in New York. Was it last year or 2 years ago? In the middle of our cornfield, 2 sandhill cranes right in front of the camera.
Beautiful picture of 2 sandhill cranes.
Scrolling through pictures, deer, fox, coyote, deer, whatever. And then we're like, what the hell?
That's crazy.
Are they doing? Like, I've never seen a sandhill over here in my life. I've seen them, out west, Wisconsin, out there where they spend time.
Yeah.
But when those showed up on the camera, like, Tom was like, what the hell is that? I was like, that shouldn't be here, but it's a sandhill crane.
There was 2 of them. It was 2 sandhill cranes together. I'm assuming a mating pair. I honestly don't know how different male and female look because I've never really.
We don't have
anything about them.
Yeah. So there was 2. I'm assuming it was a mating pair, but I have no knowledge of that. That's just a total assumption.
Do people hunt them? Like, are they
not around here, obviously? But out west, they hunt them.
Our buddy actually got one 2 years ago. He got mounted.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. I mean, they're a cool bird. But after I saw those on the camera, I was like, what were they doing here? And I have an app on my phone that I looked up just because of some guy that we had up in Alaska told me about this app, and it shows you any bird you want to look up. It shows you like their home range, their migrating range, their breeding range. It shows you everything throughout the U.S., South America, everything. And just a tiny little tip of their breeding range touches New York, like a sliver touches New York, and they just barely came over. Like the one in a million came over there.
Cool.
And
Was it a good picture?
Oh, it was beautiful.
Perfect.
I'll show you after the podcast.
They were dead still right in front of the camera. It was a great picture.
Yeah, I couldn't. We were like, I thought it was at first. I was like, maybe like I was thinking red heron. Like we have blue herons all over the place. But like it's like I'm like
we found a new species.
Yeah, I was like, what is going? Because it looks kind of like a heron.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had no idea what the hell it was. You know, not thinking anything like
out of the ordinary. Yeah.
So that was.
That's cool.
I would agree that's because that was on our property we hunt together. I forgot about that.
Huh. That's really cool.
Yeah, it was a neat picture.
And the final question we got in was from Johnny Bravo 131, and he's asking what you're doing to keep mature bucks from seeing your cameras or being spooked by them.
Not too much. All our cameras are in hoods, and they don't spook mature bucks. That's pretty much it. We don't do anything special. We keep them 3-4 foot off the ground, and I've had them as high as 12 foot in the air. And you know what? The one we had a mature buck last year that the neighbor ended up killing. That camera was 12 foot up, and I have a video. Now it didn't spook him, but he walked into that scrape and went and freaking looked right up at it. And there's been dozens of deer in there, worked that scrape, never even looked at that camera. It's way up in there.
Yeah.
And I just
hell is
stared
that?
at it. Yeah.
That's wild.
Why? Why'd he look up there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and he wasn't a frequent visitor of that
So
scrape.
he had no clue. Yeah.
No, there's no way he should have known that was there, but he looked right up at it. So
Was that camera specifically, was that in one of your wood hoods?
yeah, all our cameras are.
So
and where we have a lot of pictures of this buck because we've had pictures of him for 3 years in a row. Every picture we had, I mean, he loves getting his picture taken, but that caught his eye. So you can do whatever you want to your cameras. You're not going to, you're either going to spook them or you're not. That's why we're switching over to blackouts because I do see them get a little, some will look at it, they'll get their picture taken, and then you won't see them again for a couple weeks. Sometimes it bothers them one night, won't bother them the next night. Don't know why. So I just rather them not see it. So we're going to try it and see if it makes a difference.
Yeah, definitely can't hurt.
No.
Have you noticed like any brand of camera that seems like for daylight pictures? I know like the flash is one thing, but have you noticed like any certain brands of cameras don't seem to tip deer off more than another? Because I know you've used a lot of different brands.
No, I think they all, I really do. I really think not checking them, I think not going in there often.
I do have
I think
a
it's
question.
more important.
I'll write in a question from the Instagram. I have never personally tested it with any camera that I've ever owned, but on deer like that, you had that camera 12 feet in the air. That deer had no clue that camera was there. I have never sat in my living room and set off a camera. Like, do they make a minute sound? Have you ever done that? And,
some of our older cameras, they do make a really slight sound, but it's not. But it doesn't turn them inside out.
But it's something they'll hear it and go, "What was that?"
Yeah. Well, I think he actually seen the red. Like it was. It's
more the flash than any sound it could be making.
Yeah, because when it's on video, it stays red the whole time.
Yeah.
So I think it was more that.
So, do you see that deer react to your cameras more at night than during the day? Like if it's about the flash during daytime photos, do you notice less reaction?
I do. That's what's making us switch a little bit. It's always at night. Mm-hmm. They don't react to it during the day. So because you know what, we don't pull our cameras hardly ever, so that they're used to those hoods being there. I mean, they're used to the cameras being there. Mm-hmm. Some of those cameras have been there for years. We're gonna have to bring you back after season and see what you think about your black flash cameras. Oh yeah, because it sounds like that. If it sounds like it's mostly at night, so it's something to do with that flash. That's what I think it is. Because I've tested it at night, and that's exactly it stays on. Like I thought, well maybe I didn't know how it worked really, but that IR light stays on that whole time. So if it's a 60-second video, that light's staying on the whole time. Yeah. So they do get a little jumpy with that. Have you looked at the black flash ones at night? Like, have you tested that? Yeah, it's like a really super light, like a bluish light. It's really light. You can't see it. It's seriously almost black. So
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they work because me and Frank I've never even heard of those.
Yeah, I've never heard of them. You'll have to send me some pictures from them.
Like I said, every buck's different. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, we're just starting to send these teeth in, learning about sending these in, getting them aged, and a lot of these bucks that we're killing are upper age class bucks, and we're still they're still there, and we're still killing them. So how spooky is it making them? It's not like they're going miles.
Yeah, even if they know about it and they get a little sketched out by it, they're not going anywhere.
No, just And the next night they walk right by it like it's not even there. So I don't know. Just who knows?
You never know.
You said
skitter bugs.
You said the new Tacticams have that black flash.
Yeah, the XBs.
Okay. Yeah, because Tom actually bought 4 of the. He's got 4 of the XBs. And then I got 2 the X's.
Okay.
So, like I said, he got one for Christmas, and then he bought a couple more. But the property that we put all the cell cameras on, it's got logged a few years ago. It's super thick, and we just wanted to survey it as much as we could without going into the property because we can easily survey like the big farm ag fields around the outside, but we didn't want to have to go into the property unless we absolutely had to or wait till hunting season. So that's why we put cell cameras through the whole thing. But
it's funny. This turkey season, we had a field, and I had 4 cameras around this field, and just for turkeys, just surveying real low, foot off the ground. I mean, we're zooming in right on the spurs.
Of course,
we were 600 yards away, glassing the field one day. There was a big strutter out there, and he never got. They were all cell cameras. He never tripped one
Never
off.
set them off.
So yeah, he was out there 4 hens, but was able to stay.
Him walk by your camera.
Oh yeah. But stayed just out of range. Like they pretty much stayed right in the middle of the field. It's just funny, like if it was on a stake, but it's not like that food plot's huge, but yeah, they're just out of range a little bit. So yeah, you think you got it covered. If we didn't see them with our eye, we'd never know they were there.
Yeah, you'd assume they were never there.
Yeah. I think and he's still alive, by the way.
You mean you didn't kill him?
They said that they'll detect like 96 feet. I think is what the cell cam.
I don't think it's that far.
I
really don't
think it is either. But I have noticed I have the one cell camera I put out is like right on this like bank down to the creek. But I put it, you can kind of see the creek in the corner of it, but it's mostly like the heavy trail coming up out of it. And I've noticed I've gotten a few pictures of deer using the creek like up and downstream, and it's got to be at least 50 foot away, and it's picking it up.
Okay, that's good.
I mean, I'd have to order the HD photos from them to see exactly what it is. But yeah, twice now, and they've only been out for 3 days. I've gotten deer using the creek as crossing and not actually coming up out of it.
Huh? That's interesting.
But I was impressed that it actually picked them up.
Yeah. It's tough to see them when they're that far away too. Like I like them I like it right in their face. That's why I like the mock scrapes, because you can put those cameras. Let's say this is your mock scrape vine. I'll put it 3 foot away. That camera's in their face, and I get great pictures. They really don't care that much.
Wait, do you put it on the tree?
Yeah,
the same scrape tree.
It's
like if the branch is hanging over this way, you'll put it on that tree.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it on opposite tree facing back towards it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I won't put it on the tree. It's on.
Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit further away. Give them some room. But still, it's not like it's 20 feet.
Yeah,
I want it
right
close.
there.
So yeah. So yeah, it doesn't seem to mess with them much.
No.
Good deal.
Yeah. So.
Well, appreciate you.
So the one thing too, real quick about having your cameras up high, it's nice, especially for you public land hunters, getting it up high. It definitely, because most of us walk around and we're just at that 6 foot height, and that's what we see, 6 foot and below. We usually don't scan our eyes up high, so your cameras can get away. But the only issue that we found putting it up high, it really shrinks up that detection zone a lot smaller. So instead of those cameras down at that 4 foot length being able to scan out and cover up a big distance because it goes out at an angle, well, when you put it up high angle and down, it really shrinks it up. So that's why if you're going to do it up high, put it on a mock scrape. That way you're
focusing.
Focused.
Yep. No doubt.
They slow down long enough to where you can get a really good inventory of what you have. So
I would imagine it's hard to. I mean, there's a couple cameras on the market now that you can use your phone to see live what the camera's doing. But I can imagine putting them up 12 foot high, it makes a guessing game to figure out if you've got
what
it
you're looking at
the right angle. Because I know that's before we started using the Lone Wolf cameras. It's always like somebody's out there in front, like, oh yeah, move it a little to the left or angle it up.
Tacticams now they have
Tacticams can do that as well.
Oh yeah, they have a red line through it. You just go ahead and pull it right up on the app when you're setting it up and set it. You can go ahead and look at it on your phone and tilt it, just like those Lone Wolves. That's where they got that idea, but that's a nice feature.
Yeah, no, we use every time I set up a camera, and even when I check it, because like you open it up and you're like, oh, did I bump it a little bit? I check it every single time. When I put the card back in, I always pull it up. I'm like, okay, it's looking in the right spot.
It was a game changer for us for setting cameras, because I don't know how many times I set a camera, thought it was good. It runs for 2 weeks. You go back, and it's like actually
shit. I gotta move it.
It's like just a little bit over, and you're just catching the ass of a deer.
It's horrible.
Yeah. And it's just like I wasted 2 weeks.
It is a guessing game. Whatever you think. What I've noticed is you always need some kind of stick behind it to angle it down. They're usually always too high, no matter what. So if you think it's good, you need to go a little lower.
That's why I love those Lone Wolves, because they are on like a knuckle.
Yeah.
And it's literally like a joint, and you don't have to shove a stick behind it to get it to aim down or whatever.
That's why I like those too. The mounts, the tree mounts, the screws, the screw-in tree mounts.
Oh yeah,
when we're going up high, that's exactly what we do. We zip tie that hood, and everything right to it, or the camera. We zip tie the camera to the hood.
Just use a couple eye hooks.
That's
much.
it. What's that?
Yeah.
I have a couple. The HMEs and the homemade jobbies.
Yeah.
And they work. They work just to get that angle.
Yeah.
Definitely. But one of the things, real quick, you guys, is I want to talk about is spiders and ants. I've been seeing a lot of problems with spiders and ants. I've never really had issues with ants in any of our cameras, but spiders is a big problem.
Make webs right over top. It's a perfect little crevice for them to make a web over top of.
So I don't know if I talked about it last time, but last year I got into spraying the insides of the hoods and the backside, and it lasts about 3-4 weeks. But I want it to last longer, so what I did this year
especially with cell cams that you don't want to check.
Exactly. Is I took moleskin and I attached moleskin strips up underneath the hoods and everything so it stays dry, and then I sprayed my repellent and killer right to that. So and it's been working great. I haven't had any spider webs.
And how long have they been out like that?
It's going on 6 weeks.
I have never thought to do that. I mean, it seems like such a simple fix, because all the time we get spider webs over top of the camera.
Yeah.
And
you can go ahead and spray the trees and stuff, but it just seems to dry up a lot faster.
Yeah.
So that's why putting it on the hood, it keeps it even if it rains or something, it keeps it.
Yeah, because that's protected.
It's protected.
Yeah, I've never had the ant problem, but spiders on almost every camera. I get webs right over the lens, over the hinges.
And it's for your night photos. It's because it gets that reflection.
Yeah,
off the
exactly.
And blacks them right.
Well, you can't see anything. It looks like the sun's shining right into it.
Yeah, we'll get you get a couple good days of pictures, and then all of a sudden you get like this, like one blurry picture, and it's like, what the hell was that? And it's probably a spider. And then like that night, all your pictures are just like glossed over.
Yeah, it's horrible. I hate it. So
I've never thought about solving that problem. That's just one of those things I was like,
the moleskin works good because it absorbs that, and we've actually been using natural shit, peppermint, that peppermint oil. Freaking spiders hate it. Must mess with their spidey senses. Yeah, they hate it, so it works good. So I like the natural products. It seems to be working good. So
you just put that right on the moleskin that's attached inside.
Yep, spray it right to it. And I keep I have 2 strips right where the hinge is too, because they'll get in behind those hinges. You guys know.
Oh yeah.
And so that seems to take care of that problem. So I just like to keep everything clean, so you don't have to mess with it. Especially for you guys that are hunting, you're hunting spots or hours or a few states away. That's I think that's an absolute must.
Yeah, that's important intel that you don't want to drive 3 hours to go clean your camera off.
Exactly.
Well, Tom and I have one property hunts 3 hours away. Yeah. There's probably 15 cameras up there, and I don't know how many times we've gone up there, and it's like 4 days in, spider web over the lens, and then it's like the next 3 weeks were pointless.
Yeah, exactly.
Might as well not even have the camera out.
Yeah. So the moleskin has really been working well. And maybe you can go ahead and just attach it to your regular camera, but I
like the wood hoods, especially for wintertime. That was the
if you're gonna do it, just leave it up. Just leave it up.
Absolutely.
So
we had a couple times we had, because not all my cameras have them on them, but about half of them right now. And I noticed big time, like with snowstorms was the big.
Yeah,
you always they always seem to the snow just hangs right over them too.
Yeah.
On top, so it was really nice for that.
Yeah. Yeah, they work good.
No doubt.
Well, thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, you guys. Thanks for having me again.
Mm-hmm.
No, it was good. We'll have to hopefully bring you back on for another success story this
Oh
this
yeah,
fall.
yeah. I'm anxious to see what the inventory is looking like. So
Heck yeah.
I'm anxious to see how they react to those beans. So
Yeah.
I mean, there's probably 40 acres worth. So yeah,
Oh, you got a lot of beans.
there's a lot of beans. Yeah.
So, I guess second time I tried to close out, but it made me think. Frank, the one property you hunt, has beans, like a lot of beans.
Yep.
And he's noticed a ton of like early season. He's all on Snapchat. He'll send me videos of like big bucks out in the field an hour before dark.
really?
I sit like for the first
It's
2 weeks
ridiculous.
usually, and I've been bugging my dad for 4 years now. There's like 2 spots that the deer come into the field, and I'm like, you need, because he like doesn't hunt in the early season. He's too busy or some stupid stuff. And I'm always like, you need to come with me, and you sit here, I sit here. We will kill a Pope and Young buck.
The tag
No
team.
doubt.
Yep.
No doubt. And he never shows up, and I can't be in 2 places at once.
And he
So
always picks the wrong
I'm always sending him videos. I'm like, oh, there's a great buck right where I told my dad to be, and he's not there. And it happens every single year. And they just hammer those beans in the early season.
Yeah,
they're
they do.
all over them.
Hard on
And
'em.
that's a big field. I want to say it's like 30 acres probably. And they're every night. I got to sit in my stand for an extra hour after dark because they're just
can't get
loaded
out.
in there. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
How many cameras you putting on a 40-acre bean field before we close it out?
Probably none.
Really?
Probably none. I mean, just how do you predict it? We don't have.
Yeah, there's
we don't
too
have
much-
stands on
yeah.
on those edges. Actually, we do have a couple enclosed stands, but how do you predict it? Like we just concentrate
Yeah.
on our plots, and that's it. That's it. It's
So
not-
you,
it doesn't-
you do have a stand on
the
the
season's
beans?
long.
You
let's
got time.
say you don't get
Yeah.
into archery. All right, well then you got gun season. Let's say you don't get him a gun. You got late season. Late season's the best chance. I mean, it's a great chance to kill a big buck. I love late season. Love it.
Is
so
that just because
I don't
they
get
get
too excited this
more
early
predictable
season.
with the late season? Like, what's your
Got-
method?
got-
Why do you?
Why do I love late season?
Yeah.
Because they got to eat. Once that temperatures drop, they're already beat up from the rut. They've been chased all over Hell's Half Acre
got
from
no
gun
weight
season,
on 'em.
and they got to eat. So they're coming. So, yeah.
You want to try to close this out again?
Yeah. So thanks again. I want to talk to
Thanks, you guys.
Hopefully, some success stories later in the year.
Definitely success stories.
But I hope this helped you guys out. We had a couple requests actually to have somebody come in and talk about trail cameras. So this
Yeah,
worked
cool.
out really
love
good.
love trail cameras.
So thanks for that, and make sure you guys are all getting your cameras out there and getting outside.